except the fact that there's no mischief. I would never wish Agaraga bad, not even he or any other person in government. I will not do that. I've had my chance to be in government for 8 years, so there's no way I wish anybody bad. And truly, when I was in government, I had the utmost cooperation for almost all of them. If you realize the Minister of Defense, there were no issues. You didn't hear noise, except the fact that the soldiers would go here and there and do their soldier thing, and then they would be on my neck or the soldier. Otherwise, I had serious collaboration from this. So there's no way I wish anybody bad, not at all. And there's no mischief in that. All I say is that they should give him their biggest support. They should give him their backing. It's easier said than done. If they give him their backing and the backing of the caucus, especially the backbench, he will succeed. He knows that one of the problems they have faced, and we have always pointed out to them, is absenteeism. If they continue like that with this new leader, they are going to face big problems.
Right.
They are going to face serious problems. And like I said to him, I've never said that in Baptist, not at all. I wouldn't do that. There's no way I will ever do that. I'm saying that when it comes to leadership in parliament, he has not been there before. He's come in 1.5 years after the government has come to power. His job is to steer the government's program over the next 2.5 years. I wish him well, but it's a challenge that he has to summon. He has to adapt quickly, and if he does, he will succeed. If he does not adapt quickly and get the support of the people, he's going to have a problem, because now he needs the support of the party, strong backing, the presidency, the caucus in particular, and he being the chief whip. He is the person who should support him. If you have a very good chief whip who's loyal to you and is prepared to work for you as a leader, you have no problem. And he already has been there before. So if he decides to give Agaraga his support, trust me, he will succeed. But if he doesn't give him his support, you will hear troubles on their bench.
He has just pledged his support for James Agaraga here, right now.
You see that I'm laughing.
Why are you laughing?
We are politicians. I'm laughing. Let's wait and see in the next 1 year what happens.
What do you mean?
I think Dominic knows too much. That is.
I don't know anything.
No, I mean the statement you are making must have basis, unless of course you.
I'm saying that we are politicians. Oh, he said he's my friend, and I mean 1 or 2 times I've told him 1 or 2 things that they needed to do and they have to do, and war have to do to be able to maintain peace in the chamber. So don't take anything to heart. He's my friend. The chief whip is my friend, and we all work together. We all want to succeed. But I'm saying that he has to give the new leader his ultimate support and his sincerest support. If he does that, Agaraga will succeed.
Okay. Well, thank you. Hold on a minute for me. People, just a quick one on this now. I'll bring you in on this reshuffle first in the second term of the president. There's a statement as well that Dominic Nito made again, which I'll come to him on. But I want to take your first thoughts on this reshuffle we just got yesterday.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Kansi, I want to, I can also say a bit about Agaraga, a little bit, and then we'll go to Mahama Ayariga. Yeah, okay. So, Agaraga is like my brother, okay, very, very close. Yeah, I've known Agaraga from childhood. Let me not talk too much. I'll just leave that and tell you that. So I have no doubt at all in his competence, right? Yeah, and we heard the word Dominic Nito used. That he's a tough guy. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Agaraga has always been tough from childhood. Okay, as I said, we'll leave the rest. When he finishes, the day he, like at the end of it, when he's done very well, then I can go into details and tell you stories from childhood. This is not the time. Sometimes we celebrate too early. Okay, I wish him good luck, and I'm happy. Honorable Dakramoko says, yeah, he will support him to the hilt. That's what you need. That's what you need. But going on, I hope I'm not running ahead of myself.
Not at all.
The one that's intrigued me is Agaraga's his promotion to that position. Analysts are saying that it appears because Mahama Ayariga challenged Speaker on the passage of the LGBTQ law. That's how come Ayariga is being removed. You know, the speaker said the bill had not been passed. Ayariga too says it's been properly passed. And you know how the international community is briefing down our necks on that particular law. So it means that for as long as Ayariga stays as majority leader, there's going to be a problem, you know, going forward with that bill.
Really?
So it appears very reasonable. So they say that it appears it's because of it that the Ayariga is being removed, so that the proposals that the speaker is put forward, you know, the speaker has said that it can be, the consideration can be done again, etc. You know, the bill has been kept somewhere. We've moved on. But look, we should be careful. If we don't sort out that issue once and for all, the NDC will pay dearly for it. You see, let's not make a mistake. The opposition, they are watching. They'll just wait. Near elections, they will raise it again. So it's better, look, this bill and these issues are dealt with once and for all. So my understanding is that this removal is perhaps to pave way for the reconsideration, etc., as the speaker is mentioned, because Ayariga has been very clear that as far as he is aware, the bill has been passed by parliament, so it's left with the presidential assent. But the speaker is saying otherwise. That's what I'll say about that one. Now, we also know that, like I also shared the other comment, that we had all been looking forward to Agaga being given a substantive ministerial position. But like Honorable Dafameko and the rest have said, it's the president who decides.
Indeed.
So in this game, you need to have very strong knees. So yeah, you have to be very patient, because that is what also even proves part of the mettle of a politician. You know, the ministerial positions are only a few relatively compared to the number of citizens and then the parliamentarians. So in a way, it's okay that gradually Agaga is coming forward. I'm sure eventually he would break through to become a minister. Yeah, I just needed to go back and make that point. If there's any other, yeah.
I see, but you say that you see reason in this, you know, perspective or the narrative about Mahama Ayariga's reshuffle, but why is that? Because the position he took regarding this anti-LGBTQ, in fact, this is the first time I'm hearing this one. I've heard quite a number of narratives, but this one, did that affect the relationship between the speaker and the majority leader in any way, majority chief whip?
I'm really surprised by the perspective that Kweku has just brought to bear on this matter. I'm not privy to any such reason or basis. My leader and I, we speak regularly. In fact, before yesterday, we were on the phone for nearly an hour. He's not around. He's on a short trip outside, and so we speak about many things, welfare, focus, and all, how to simply keep the caucus intact. So the suggestion that is being moved to local governments as a result of some disagreement he has with the speaker, it's totally news to me. I'm not privy to any such development, and I don't think that there's any disagreement between him and speaker at all.
Right.
And the party also didn't give the indication that that is the basis for which the president is appointing him to the local government portfolio, so that James will come and take over. I believe that it's a matter of strategy. The party is just monitoring and seeing how things can be. Look, the infusion of Mahama Ayariga and Zaneto into the executive,
right?
It's a key strategy. If you know their backgrounds, how effective they can work. So moving him to local government, moving Zaneto to take up the environment ministry and deal with the environmental issues that we have.
Right.
they are valuable additions to the stock of ministers that we have.
I see. No, Martin, people wanted to make a quick point on that particular. Council, maybe just briefly so that we move on to other issues. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Kansi, you know, that's the thing about Honorable Dapper. He's a smooth diplomat. Of course, you know that he has to, you know, kind of brush it aside so that everything will look good. Let's repeat. Look, go to the tapes. You see Mahama Ayariga telling the speaker that they are not going back to that bill. Then the speaker says, no, they would go back. And then what else do you need? That's serious. So let's step back. This is not a joke. Speaker Bagbin came back and said, as far as he's concerned, the rules have been breached. The bill has not been passed. That's a public statement too. Then the majority leader comes and says, it's been done. Boom. Finished. The gavel has fallen. There will be no going back to the bill. And the speaker insists. And today, do you know where the bill is? What else do you need to say? You don't need them to come outside and say, hey, foolish. Excuse my words. This one, oh, go and you are a nobody. You are a somebody. You are a nobody. You are a somebody. Are you my co-equal? No, that's not how we judge whether there is a disagreement or not. What we judge is what each person is saying. Are they in agreement or they are not? And quite clearly, there is a deep chasm, a deep crater between what Ayariga was saying on the bill and what Speaker Bagbin and President Mahama were saying on the other side. And we all know that it's about no kufio. We need help from development partners. So once the West is not happy with the bill, Speaker and the President have been dancing around it, and then they've pushed it somewhere, which is a slap in the face of Ayariga. And natural fact, he, Dafamapo himself. Dafamapo, yourself, you've been slapped in the face, right? I know you're a nice man, all those things, but you can't say it. Where you are, you need to climb up, so you can't speak openly like that. But my advantage is that I'm not looking to climb up any ladder politically, so I'm free to speak openly. So it's fine. Dafamapo has to brush everything, make it look nice, and it's my duty to analyze vigorously here that what the speaker said about the bill is 180 degrees different from what majority leader Mahama Ayariga said. Okay, so they are on opposite ends, and so as long as Ayariga remains majority leader, it's going to be very difficult to go back and reconsider the bill as the speaker and President Mahama are saying. That method they are using to buy time will not happen under Ayariga's watch. It's going to lead to an implosion. Yes, because Ayariga was very clear. He came back a number of times that the bill has been passed. What the speaker is saying is not possible. It's a non-starter, right? So that is, it's rational basis for its removal. So we don't need to get confirmation. Things like this, which are very embarrassing, hardly will you get the party hierarchy openly talk about it. But for us, from where we sit, this is our reading of it. This is our reading.
But yes, your reading must have some basis. You know, it must have some basis of fact and then also some evidence. And you are pointing to something that convinces you that this is the case. But the question is this really it? And I put
that is it. Is that
based on what? What do you know that we don't know?
But that is what I've stated. Oh, you see, let's step back. What are we talking about? The majority leader is leader. This is his position, that the bill has been passed. President Mahama should go ahead and sign. Honorable Dafamapo was also in support. Check the record. Honorable Dafamapo was also in support, supporting his leader. Then, on the other hand, President Mahama was in London at the time, right? He and Speaker Bagbin. Once they saw that Charlie, the international community, the gay lobbies will not take it lying down. They had to find something to do to dance around. And so they had to say that no, the bill has not been properly passed. Hey, what is more serious than that? It's open. It's an open confrontation. Open confrontation. Look, I'm done. There's no way anybody can give me any other reason that that is the one. No matter, okay, there could be other reasons. But what I'm saying is that if you are doing rational analysis, you cannot discount that one. Because Mr. Okan says, step back. The way Mahama Ayariga was gung-ho that the bill has been passed, how are you going to tell Mahama Ayariga to come and eat back his words that the bill has not been passed? How are you going to tell Honorable Dafa Mekpo in studio to say the bill has not been passed? So perhaps see Dafa Mekpo himself, it's interesting how he's going to, deal with that situation when it comes up, because the two of them had been very clear that they are done. They are done with it. I'm sure maybe before they deal with it, Dafa Mekpo may be promoted to also become a minister or something, so that it's like the stables are clear, fresh leadership, and then it can be done. You see, so from Ayariga's profile, you see that I'm not saying Ayariga is not human rights centered, but what I'm saying is that there's that conflict, open conflict. Ayariga is also human rights centered, so it's likely that he may have sympathies for the new method they want to use. And so perhaps that's how come he's been brought there. Okay? So right. Please, nobody can discount this big open conflict. It's a serious matter. Oh. It's a serious matter. Let's not forget that this is a bill that even when Kamala Harris, US Vice President, came, she came and she had issues with it, etc. So this is a big matter. It's not just a trifling, but maybe it's because we don't have much time. I thought just saying 2 sentences were enough. Right. But if we are pushing back, if we go back, don't forget this is a bill that even, Anta, former finance minister under Akufo Addo, had to write a full letter to, was it to Parliament or it was addressed to, to Parliament, etc. That if the bill is passed, Ghana will not get aid and other help from development partners, etc. So this one is a big matter. It's not a child's play. There's no way you're going to get Ayariga still as majority leader, and then what the speaker is speaking about, bringing the bill back, do reconsideration, etc., would happen under Ayariga's leadership. There was no way. It would be too embarrassing. It's as if, no. It would be too embarrassing. I don't need to explain further.
Right. It's a very interesting perspective that Lawyer Matibebu brings to this matter. I've got to admit. But Adam Sedanu, who is also having some interest in this matter of LGBT and matters, Advocates for Christ, but he's here in that capacity as the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, also chair of the African Union, that's Advisory Board on Anti-Corruption. Zanu, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Great. I've got to move on to the next issue, but unless the Honorable wants to have a quick response to this, yes, I have to move on to the next issue. Quickly.
There's been all sorts of insinuations and salvos thrown my way by people. First of all, we can disagree with the speaker on issues. It doesn't mean that relationships are destroyed. So this LGBT matter, I'm struggling to appreciate the perspective that he's edging on us. Now, it makes a forceful argument. No, there's nothing, you see, there's nothing forceful in there. What is insinuating? There's nothing forceful in there. I am saying, I wish that you can put the Honorable Mahama Ayariga himself on the line. Because I as the chief whip, I get to know things. But I'm telling you on authority that he's moving to the local government ministry. It's not because he's being punished and therefore being removed as a majority leader. The majority leader portfolio is also a cabinet portfolio. He actually attends cabinet. So if you want to punish him, do you substitute one cabinet role with the other? So I just feel that it's a matter of preference. I'm sure when he was approached, he thought that he can continue to serve the government at the local government ministry. Or he gave the indication that he is available to serve in the executive. And when he was given the indication, I'm sure he agreed that he can serve as the local government minister. I don't think that is what Martin is urging on. It's a very dangerous proposition that he's making, that he's been removed because he has a disagreement with the speaker. So by extension, it is the speaker that has caused his removal. It's not good for the caucus cohesion. Because speaker, we must know, is also a member of our party. And so if my 100 and, apart from us in leadership, if 185 members of our caucus gets to know that, it is speaker that has caused the removal, so to speak, removal of leader. No. It may lead to an implosion. So, because the speaker also needs our backing. He is not a member of parliament, but he presides over the house. When he comes, he needs the unity of the house to be able to manage the house. So if you are pushing this dangerous line that Mahama Ayariga is leaving because speaker says he should be removed because of what is in terms open disagreement, you are putting my caucus on edge. Yes, you are putting my caucus on edge. And he's creating problems for me in the caucus. So you shouldn't push that line. I believe that once Ayariga has accepted to serve in the executive as a minister of state in charge of the local government, chieftaincy and religious affairs, we must wish him well. Right. And so that during his vetting, he goes through successfully and gets appointed and goes to serve in that capacity. He's served in 5 different ministries already. This will be his 6th one. He was a deputy at trade, was a deputy education, was Minister of Information and government spokesperson, if you recall. He was also spokesperson for our flag bearer, Professor Mills, during the opposition days under President Akufo. And then he also served at environment and served at sports. So Ayariga has been he has widespread ministerial background in terms of portfolio. This is his 6th ministry. So it's not a new person going into the ministry. So it's the argument that he's been punished by being removed to go and serve in the ministry. It can unsettle my caucus, and I don't want that to be that line to be pushed to the media at all. I disagree with Kwebu. What he's urging on us. There's no basis. Right. I would have been told. I would have been told. There are a number of
messages. Let me just read them and then we'll move on to Dominic Nito was still with us. There are a couple of questions directed at him. This one from Na Yamotele says, I like Martin Kwebu's frankness. She says he's punching on both of them on many sides. His reading is very clear. And he's looking at the things from a national and rational analysis. That's to Martin Kwebu, that's from Na Yamotele. This one also here says, good morning, Alfred. For humility, trust, and respect in governance any day and any time, Ghana's democracy, best choice for all Ghanaians, you say, is the president. This one also here says that it says, Ato also served 8 years. I think that's just your response.
Before did 6 years, 7 months. So he did almost 6 and a half.
So Dominic Nitiwo is still by far the longest serving defense minister, 2 terms straight, 8 years as we have it. And this one here from Dr. Kwame Asante says, did I hear Dominic Nitiwo also say that there was no way Dr. Zaneto Rollins stood a chance to become defense minister? On what basis will that comment also be justified in any way? So he's with us still on Zoom. Dominic Nitiwo?
Yes. So first of all, I want to make a small comment on what Martin Kwebu said. And I think that Martin Kwebu is my old boy because we went to the same secondary school in Tamale.
Right.
And so I know his credentials very, very well. I think that the chief whip needs to tell the nation whether this bill was transmitted to the president. That's why I'm tending to want to believe what Martin Kweku is saying. Because if the bill was transmitted to the president, if the president has a problem with it, he will write back, he will return the bill to parliament with comments. If that has not happened, then I will side with what Martin Kweku is trying to say clearly. That's why that's the point I was trying to make. So the chief whip needs to tell the nation, was the bill transmitted to parliament or the bill is still sitting in parliament? And if it's still sitting in parliament, what is the reason why that bill is still sitting in parliament? If it's also being transmitted to the president, where is the letter that the president has written to parliament making his comments about it? And what are his comments? Which are the areas that the president disagrees with the bill? So the chief whip needs to tell the nation like that. Otherwise, everybody has what he has to say, and I will believe what Martin Kweku is trying to say. But that is not to say it's a demotion. No. Where the Mahama Ayariga is going is a very sensitive ministry. So it is not, he's not being punished. Not at all. In fact, if there's anything, somebody will say he's been promoted. So
right.
I will not say that he's being punished at all. And he's going to literally be working with the entire local government system, the MMDCs all over, the regional ministers. So he's really having a very powerful position. I rather want to think that the party is positioning themselves more for election purposes. That's why they're taking Mahama Ayariga to that place.
Rather.
And there are reasons behind. We all know why some things are being done. And the fact that there will be a new flag bearer, a new running mate, a lot of people will be positioned for different considerations. So we all have our ears on the ground. We know what is going on. But I want to support Martin Kweku by asking him whether the bill was transmitted to the president. Was it given to the president by parliament? And if it was, then the president is enjoined by law to sign it. If he doesn't want to sign it, he needs to have written to parliament with his comments. Where are the comments? What are the comments? What problem does the president have? That's all the chief whip needs to tell the nation. Otherwise, people will believe what Martin Kweku has said, including myself.
I see. Well, those questions you are posing to, obviously, the majority in Parliament, so they'll get some answers for you. But there was another question posed to you from Dr. Kwame Asante regarding a statement you made about doctors.
In the first place, I have not yet made that statement on this. I said that I made it elsewhere. I haven't made it on the platform yet.
Yeah.
Yes, I made it elsewhere. So he's bringing the statement from somewhere else I made on another platform to this. But let me answer it. First of all, I said our intelligence was very, very clear that Dr. Zenator stood no chance to go to the Minister of Defense.
If you say your intelligence, you mean you and who? As in, like...
Come on. We all have our sources and our intelligence. We knew straight away that she had no chance to go to the Minister of Defense from the one. It had always been Gilbert Ajay from day one.
You knew you knew it straight ahead.
You can ask Patrick Bawumia. I told him before, and I suspect I told one or two people also that he is the one who is going, and we rather thought that Mahama Ayariga will go to replace him at Western Housing. It's always yes. I told Mahama Ayariga himself, or I told somebody, one or two people, that he is going. But I know that Patrick Bawumia, for example, I mentioned it to him that what I'm picking is that Mahama Ayariga will replace the Honorable Kennedy, who is going to the defense. It was very clear to everybody that the president wanted somebody who has his confidence, his trust, and somebody that he gels with clearly. And it was very clear that it was Kennedy who the president will take to that particular place, if that was a consideration. And that was the consideration the president was putting. And over the last 1 month, that is from July, we were still in Parliament. It was almost certain that the president was going to make the changes in July. The name kept coming up and up and up that he's the one who will be going there. Originally, Senator Rawlings would have gone as Minister of State. In fact, from day one, she was supposed to have gone as Minister of State. And if you ask those at the presidency, they will confirm what I'm saying.
Minister of State in charge of what?
Yes. I'm not certain, but I know that she was supposed to go as...
So then, if you're not certain, how then do I place any value on this statement you've just made?
In the moment I start going to the specifics, it will be too obvious. But I'm telling you on authority that she would have gone as Minister of State. But I suspect that...
But you're saying you're telling me on authority, but you are not certain about that. So how do I reconcile those two positions?
I am certain. I know what it is. And the president knows. And those who offered her know. Even from day one. when this government came. I know that for a fact. And I'm saying to you that the unfortunate incident that happened is the one that has changed the things. Otherwise, she was going as Minister of State. But to answer the person, I said that our intelligence and our sources tell us that she stood no chance to go to the Ministry of Defense because the president didn't want to take her there. It's as simple as that.
Your intelligence and your sources where?
Of course, from the Jubilee House. Where else can it come from?
And your source at Jubilee House told you this, that he never stood a chance. She never stood a chance.
She never stood a chance, yes.
Based on what?
It's always been Kennedy.
Based on what?
You want me to tell you the people who gave me the intelligence?
No, you said they told you that she never stood a chance. Did they give you reasons why? Based on what? Because I'm just trying to reconcile those two positions you espoused earlier regarding.
If the president does not want to appoint somebody to a particular position and wants to appoint another person, the president is not enjoying to tell somebody the reason why he's doing that. I'm saying that the president was determined that he wants to appoint this person to that place and not her. That's why I said she stood no chance. And the president obviously will not tell anybody, including myself or any other person, that this is the reason why I'm not taking her. If somebody wants to read something to read, that's the person's own prerogative. But for me, I just said she stood no chance to go there, not because they hate her or something. I don't know about that. All I know is that she was not in consideration to go to the Ministry of Defense. So when her name kept coming up, in fact, at a point, I was teasing her that, hey, Minister of Defense, but I knew that she was not being considered there at all. I knew from day one.
I see, but at a point, any other information you got, you say you weren't certain about it, but this one you have authority.
Yes, I was very certain that it was Honorable Kennedy, the former Deputy Minister for Defense, who will go to replace Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia. And even when the president said that he was going to do it in the new year, that obviously everybody thought that it was January, February. It was certain that he was the one that the president was referring to and that he was going to go there. And when news started filtering in that the president might do a reshuffle in July, it was still and appoint the Minister for Defense then as part of the reshuffle. Still, it was certain that he was the one who was going to the place. I told one or two friends, one day when I see you, I'll mention him to you, call him and ask him whether I didn't tell him about a month ago, whether that Ken is going. And if he's close to you, he should just congratulate him. I will call you, even from here, I'll tell you the person. And you can call the person.
And you said it to this person when exactly?
About a month ago.
A month ago?
Yes.
No, interesting.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.